35. Risa. 4 minutes before the trapdoor opens, Risa hears a gunshot, and the sound of something or someone thudding to the floor. They all hear it, and it freezes them in the middle of whatever they're doing. Shh, nobody move, says Bo. Then quieter, and nobody talk. Suddenly, it's as if the floor beneath them, or more accurately, the floor above them, has turned to ice that could fracture with the slightest shift away. The first thing that Risa does is reflexively look for Connor. Then, an instant later, realizes he's not there. According to Sonia, he went to take care of unfinished business. And although Sonia wouldn't say specifically, Risa knows what that business is, just like the time he rescued Dee Dee from the doorstep. Connor has impulsively chosen the wrong time to do the right thing. She curses him and prays for him at the same time, because at least he's away from here. Everyone looks up, following the sound of something heavy being dragged from the shop into the back room. Is it Sonia being dragged? Is it Grace? She was out taking care of unfinished business as well, wasn't she? Or wasn't she? What if one of them was shot? What if one of them is dead? Bo turns off all the lights except for the single dim dangling one in the middle of the basement, because without it, the darkness would be unbearable. What do we do? Asks Ellie, a girl who's always looking to Risa for guidance. Listen to Bo, she whispers. Stay still and stay quiet. Risa, however, is the first to break their terrified tableau, and looks for something she can use as a weapon. She finds a claw hammer. Other kids, seeing what she's doing, move quietly to find their own makeshift weapons. Risa sees Bo eyeing the one window in the basement. It's a small thing positioned high up on the wall in a far corner. The glass is smudged with grease that makes it impossible to see out or in. Never open that window, Sonia always told them. You never know who will be in the alley out there. And just to make sure none of them was ever tempted, the window frame had been nailed shut. Bo grabs the hammer from Risa, giving her a wrench instead. Risa nods her understanding, and Bo makes his way to the window, taking the claw end of the hammer to the nails, trying to wrest them free from the wood. While Bo works the window, Risa quietly makes her way to the stairs. A kid tries to stop her, but she gives him an evil enough eye to make him back away. She climbs the stairs to the dark recesses just beneath the trapdoor. She knows she'll have warning before that door is pulled open. She'll hear the sliding of the trunk. Risa tilts her head, focusing all her attention on any sounds coming from upstairs. The violent noises of just a few moments ago have ended. Now there's just talking. A man in conversation with Sonia. Risa takes a deep breath of relief just to know that the old woman's still alive. She wants to go up there and help her, but there's nothing Risa can do. The trapdoor can only be opened from the other side. She looks down the stairs to see the kids all armed with various basement items, pipes, scissors, bricks, and boards. And then Sonia screams. It's muffled, but there's no denying that it's a scream of pain. Then the trunk is slid away. Risa feels more than hears it, a vibration in the wood of the stairs that resonates in her bones. She scrambles down to the bottom of the stairs, backing into shadows with everyone else. Bo steps away from the basement window. He was able to remove only one nail. This is it, he tells Risa. This is the end for all of us, if we don't play this right. She wants to challenge that fatalistic view, but she can't, because he's right. Maybe Connor will come back just in time, she thinks. He'll see what's going on upstairs and do something about it. After all, Connor does have a talent for falling smack in the middle of bad situations. Whatever it is, we'll fight, Bo says. The trapdoor opens, shedding harsh yellow light from above down the stairs, so much brighter than the single dangling bulb. And then up above, Sonia says the strangest thing. Lev, she calls out. Lev, can you come up? I need your help up here. It takes a moment for Risa to even process what she has said. Lev? Why would she be calling for Lev? Bo looks at her, shaking his head, not getting it either. Lev, get your ass up here, Sonia calls much louder. I don't have all day. And then it dawns on Risa exactly what Sonia is doing. I'm giving you the advantage, Sonia is saying. Something is horribly wrong, but I'm giving you the advantage. Take it. Risa searches the group and zeroes in on Jack, the blonde, mousy kid who could pass for Lev for a whole 5 seconds. She grabs him, and his eyes go manga wide in surprise. Tell her you'll be right up. What? Just tell her. Jack clears his throat and calls up the stairs. Coming, I'll be right up. Then he looks at Risa, begging with his eyes, pleading. But Risa puts her hands on his shoulders. You'll be fine, she tells him. I promise. I'll be right behind you. Bo nods to her and signals all the others to stay hidden in the shadows. And then he gets behind Risa. You've got his back and I've got yours, he says. With Jack in the lead, they go up the stairs to face whatever is in store for them. 36. Nelson. He has every intention of honoring their bargain. He is, after all, a man of conscience, a man of the world, of his word. As the boy he assumes is Lev comes up the stairs, Nelson allows himself a small moment to relish this half victory. He will trank Lev, then he will take Lev to a place where no one will hear him scream. And he will make him divulge where Lassiter is gone, because he surely knows, even if the old woman doesn't, then once Nelson has the information he needs, he will kill Lev in the most painful way. One he is yet to devise, because vengeance is best when experienced creatively and in the moment. You called for me, ma'am? The boy says, and when he turns to face Nelson, Nelson immediately realizes he's been duped. Just as someone else coming up from below swings a wrench at his legs. Pain explodes in his shin the moment the wrench connects with it, and Nelson immediately realizes his mistake. Of course they would have known it was a ruse. They must have heard the gunshot. His pain is a measure of his miscalculation. He reaches down to disarm the girl attacking him, but she pulls her arm back and swings again, this time catching the back of his hand. More pain. But Nelson can handle pain, and the damage isn't enough to impair him. The third time she swings, he succeeds in grabbing the wrench from the girl and hurling it away. But there's something else coming up the stairs behind her, and he's swinging a hammer. Nelson deflects the blow, backs away, and kicks the trunk toward the hammer-wielding AWOL to block him. But the trunk flips open and dumps at least 100 envelopes on him. The kid takes one step forward and begins slipping on the envelopes like they're banana peels. It's just the opening Nelson needs. He thrusts his palm to the imbalanced kid's chest, and it sends him tumbling down the hole and into the basement. Nelson quickly kicks the trapdoor closed behind him, then tugs on the heavy bookshelf, which comes crashing down over the trapdoor, spilling its loads of books. No one is coming up that way anymore. Now it's just him, the girl, and the blonde kid, and the old woman who's telling them to run, but they're not smart enough to save themselves. The girl scrambles on the floor for the wrench, and the blonde kid is parrying towards Nelson with a letter opener he found on the desk. Nelson pulls out one of his guns, taking aim at the blonde kid because he's the closest, and because Nelson is profoundly pissed off at the kid's lack of Levness, and because he is profoundly pissed off by the kid's lack of Levness. He meant to pull out the gun loaded with tranks, but in the commotion, who could blame him for pulling the wrong gun? He fires, and the kid's chest shreds into a screaming red Rorschach. Blood splatters everywhere. He's dead before he hits the floor. No, yells the girl. You bastard! It's in that moment that, with Nelson holding his gun and her ready to strike with the wrench, he realizes who she is. In spite of the hair, in spite of the eye color, he recognizes her, and knows he'll have a new prize today, a very useful one. He wonders how much Risa Ward will be worth to Devon. Risa comes toward him, and as he reaches for his other gun with his free hand, she gets in a swing at his head. It connects with his ear, a solid strike, but survivable, just like all the other blows. He shoves the trank gun into her gut and pulls the trigger, and she grunts as the trank embeds deep. He holds her as she slips helplessly from consciousness, the wrench falling from her hand, thudding onto the floor. Nelson gently eases her to the ground beside the dead boy. Then he turns to the old woman, who sobs from the chair to which she's chained. Your fault, Nelson tells her. Entirely your fault. That boy's life is on your head for lying to me. The woman can only sob. Now that the battle is over, he assesses the damage from the wrench. His shin may be fractured, it's swelling, and he can feel his pulse in it. His right ear is hot, and the back of his hand is turning purple and swelling. All in a day's work. The pain will be good for him. It'll release endorphins and make him more alert. Please go, wails the woman. Just go. And he will, but not until he finishes his business here. There is a torn envelope on the desk and a cigarette lighter in his pocket. He notes that everything around the basement, from the felled bookshelf and its piles of books, to the stacks of paperwork on the desk, to the various wooden antiques. Everything in this room, everything in the shop, in fact, is highly flammable. He grabs the envelope, takes out the lighter, and flicks it until it releases a tiny, controlled flame. Stop, yells the woman through her tears. I'll give you Lassiter. I'll give him to you if you stop this and let the others go. He hesitates. He knows that this is just another game, but he's willing to play, if only to give him a moment to contemplate the severity of what he's about to do. God forgive me, she says. God forgive me. At this moment, Nelson reminds her, it's my forgiveness that you need. She nods, unable to look at him, and that's how he knows she's going to tell him the truth. But will it be truth enough? He's in your hand, she says. He's in your hand, and you don't even know it. Then she lowers her head in defeat and perhaps some self-loathing. Nelson has no idea what she means until he looks at the empty envelope he's holding and reads the handwritten address. Claire and Kirk Lassiter, 3048 Rosenstock Road, Columbus, Ohio, 43017. He looks down to the other envelopes on the ground, and he can tell by the handwriting that they were all written by kids. You had your AWOLs write letters to their parents? She nods. Write letters to their parents? She nods. What a pointless thing to do. She nods. And our friend Connor went to deliver his personally? Then she finally looks to him, and the hatred on her face is a thing to see, as powerful as a smoldering volcano. You have what you need. Now get the hell out of here. There have been many times in Jasper Nelson's life when his choice was taken from him. He did not choose to be tranked on that fateful day 2 years ago by Connor Lassiter. He did not choose to get hurled out of the juvenile force in humiliation. He did not choose to lose his ordinary, respectful life. He does have a choice here, however, and it's an awe-inspiring moment because he knows his choice today will be a defining one. He could walk away from here and go find Lassiter, or he could bring on a little suffering first. In the end, his sense of social conscience prevails, because as a good citizen, isn't it his responsibility to help rid the world of vermin? Nelson memorizes the address, sets the envelope on fire, then drops it on the pile of envelopes on the ground. No! What have you done? What have you done? Cries the old woman as the fire takes and the flames begin to rise. Only what necessity and my conscience dictate, he tells her. Then he grabs Risa Ward's limp, unconscious